Welcome to our deep dive into the world of I am affirmations. We're going to be looking at this popular YouTube video called Listen Every Day, I Am Affirmations for Success. And it's from this channel called Be Inspired. And let me tell you, this video is packed with affirmations,
Yeah.
like over 150 of them. So we're going to unpack what makes these I am affirmations tick and how they could work for you.
Well, what's really interesting here is that this video isn't just like a random collection of positive statements. It's carefully structured around this idea of the power of I am.
Okay, so beyond just being positive, what's so special about saying I am? I've heard that it has something to do with like programming your subconscious mind, but to be honest, that sounds a little bit woo-woo to me.
I get that. But there's actually some pretty interesting psychology behind it. When you say I am, you're making this declaration about your identity.
Yeah.
It's not just some wish or a hope. It's like a statement of fact,
Yeah.
at least in the context of your own mind.
So by repeatedly saying I am, followed by like a desired quality like I am successful, we're essentially trying to convince our brains that it's true.
Exactly. The more you hear it, the more you start to believe it.
Yeah.
And then as you start to believe it, you start to act in accordance with that belief.
Okay.
So it becomes like a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Okay, so let's get into some of the specifics of this video. We're not just talking about any old affirmations here. There are over 150 of them. Was there anything about this particular collection that stood out to you?
Absolutely. One thing that I noticed right away was that the affirmations in this video go beyond just like surface level desires. They delve into these deeper themes like handling negativity and setting boundaries, which I thought was pretty interesting.
Can you give me an example?
Sure. There's one that says, I cannot change another person. I just let others be themselves, and I simply and solely love myself.
Wow, that's a powerful one. That actually reminds me of something I struggle with, which is, wanting to fix people or situations that are really out of my control. Do you think repeating that affirmation could actually help me let go of that tendency?
I think it could definitely help to shift your mindset.
Yeah.
By consistently reminding yourself that you can only control your own actions and reactions, you might find yourself feeling less stressed and more at peace,
Yeah.
with situations that you just can't change.
Yeah. That would be amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, so there are some, deep affirmations in this video. What else kind of jumped out at you?
Another thing that struck me was the emphasis on self-agency. Like there are a lot of affirmations about taking ownership of your life, like your choices and your outcomes.
Can you give me an example?
Yeah. One that really stands out is, I am the only one who can stop me. It's a really simple statement, but it's incredibly powerful. It puts you in the driver's seat of your own life.
That's interesting. I'm a chronic procrastinator, always finding ways to sabotage myself.
Right.
Do you think repeating an affirmation like that could help me break out of that cycle?
It's definitely worth a try. By consistently reminding yourself that you have the power to overcome, your own limitations, you might find yourself becoming more proactive and less likely to fall into those old patterns.
So instead of feeling trapped by my procrastination, I could start to feel empowered to overcome it.
Exactly. The language we use to talk to ourselves has a profound impact on our beliefs and behaviors.
Okay, so we've got affirmations about setting boundaries and taking ownership. Were there any other key themes that emerged from this collection?
Yeah, another prominent theme was the focus on attracting abundance, particularly in areas of finances and success.
Ah, the classic, manifesting your desires concept. I'm a bit skeptical of those law of attraction ideas. I believe you have to put in the work. Not just wish for things to appear.
I understand your skepticism, and you're right, action is essential. But think of affirmations as like a way to prime your mind for success.
Okay, so how might that work in practice? What does one of these like abundance affirmations actually sound like?
One example is, I'm a magnet attracting abundance in my life.
Okay.
By repeating this, you might start to shift your focus towards opportunities that you may have overlooked before. Or, maybe you become more open to taking risks that could lead to greater financial reward.
So instead of sitting back and waiting for abundance to fall into my lap, it might nudge me to be more proactive in seeking it out. It's like shifting from a mindset of scarcity to a mindset of possibility.
Precisely. It's not about passively waiting for the universe to deliver. It's about aligning yourself with the energy of abundance and taking inspired action.
Okay, I could see how that could be powerful. So we've got affirmations about setting boundaries, taking ownership, and attracting abundance. Anything else kind of unique to this particular set of affirmations?
One thing I found particularly interesting was the inclusion of affirmations specifically designed to manage fear and negativity.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a big one for me. I tend to get stuck in worry spirals and I overthink everything. Do you think affirmations could actually help me calm my anxious mind?
They could definitely be a valuable tool.
Hmm.
There's one affirmation that says, fear is just a feeling. I overcome it and I move forward.
That's interesting. Do you think simply repeating that could actually make me less afraid? It feels like my fear runs much deeper than just a statement.
Think of it as a way to retrain your habitual thought patterns. If you tend to get caught up in fear, repeating this affirmation could help you create a new mental pathway, a default response that's based on courage and resilience instead of fear.
So instead of automatically spiraling into anxiety, I could train my mind to pause and choose a different response.
Exactly. It's like building a muscle. The more you practice choosing courage over fear, the stronger that mental muscle becomes.
Okay, I'm starting to see how this all fits together. We're not just mindlessly repeating positive statements. We're strategically choosing affirmations that target these specific areas where we want to grow and evolve.
You got it. And the beauty of this video is that it offers this diverse menu of affirmations, allowing you to create a personalized practice that aligns with your unique needs and goals.
This is already giving me a lot to think about. We've
Yeah.
talked about the importance of choosing affirmations that resonate and how they can target specific areas like boundaries, fear, and abundance. But are there any downsides to using affirmations? Could they actually backfire in any way?
That's a great question. And the answer is yes. There are potential pitfalls to watch out for. But don't worry, in the next part of our deep dive, we'll explore those potential downsides, along with some fascinating insights from the worlds of neuroscience and psychology that shed light on why affirmations work.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Let's take a break and then dive back in to explore the science behind all of this.
Sounds good. I'm ready when you are.
All right, so we're back and I'm ready to get nerdy. You mentioned some potential downsides to affirmations, and we're going to dig into the science behind all of this. Where do we start?
Well, let's address the potential downsides first. One concern is that affirmations can sometimes create a disconnect between our desired reality and our current reality, which can lead to frustration or even disappointment if we don't see immediate results.
I can see that happening. Like if I'm constantly affirming I am abundant, but I'm still, struggling to make ends meet, it might actually make me feel worse about my situation.
Exactly. It's important to remember that affirmations aren't like a magic bullet. They work best when they're combined with action and a realistic understanding that change takes time.
So it's not about denying our current reality, but about using affirmations as a tool to kind of shift our mindset and motivate us to take steps towards our goals.
Precisely. Another potential pitfall is using affirmations in a way that feels forced or inauthentic.
Okay.
If you're repeating affirmations that don't truly resonate with you, it can feel like you're lying to yourself, which can actually undermine your self-esteem.
That makes sense. It's like trying to convince yourself of something you don't really believe. It's not going to stick. So how do we ensure that our affirmations are authentic and empowering?
It goes back to what we discussed earlier, choosing affirmations that align with your, deepest values and desires.
Sure.
If an affirmation doesn't feel right in your gut, don't use it.
So it's about trusting our intuition and being selective about the affirmations we choose to incorporate into our practice.
Exactly. Now, let's shift gears and explore the fascinating world of neuroscience. Have you ever heard of the concept of neuroplasticity?
Yes. We touched on this briefly earlier. It's about the brain's ability to change and adapt throughout our lives.
You got it. It used to be believed that the brain was pretty much fixed after a certain age.
Right.
But we now know that the brain is constantly rewiring itself in response to our experiences and thoughts.
So it's not like a hard drive that gets filled up and can't be rewritten. It's more like a dynamic, ever-evolving landscape.
Exactly. And this is where affirmations come in. By repeatedly affirming positive statements, we're essentially creating these new neural pathways in our brains.
Okay, I'm starting to see the connection. So if I consistently affirm I am confident, those neural pathways associated with confidence become stronger and more active.
Precisely. It's like building a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. And the same principle applies to our brains. By repeatedly activating those neural pathways associated with positive qualities, we make them more dominant,
Okay.
making them more likely that we'll think, feel, and act in alignment with those affirmations.
So we're literally rewiring our brains for success one affirmation at a time.
That's a great way to put it. And here's another fascinating piece of the puzzle. Research has shown that Affirmations can actually influence our perception of reality.
Wait, really? You're saying that affirmations can change how we see the world around us?
In a way, yes. Our brains are constantly filtering information from our environment, and our beliefs play a huge role in this filtering process.
So if I believe I am lucky, I'm more likely to notice and focus on opportunities that confirm that belief, even if they were always there, but I was just overlooking them before.
Exactly. Your brain is always looking for evidence to support your beliefs, whether they're positive or negative. So by consciously choosing to focus on positive affirmations, you're essentially training your brain to seek out evidence that supports those beliefs, which can lead to a more positive and optimistic outlook on life.
Yeah, that's pretty powerful. It's like creating a self-fulfilling prophecy where our beliefs shape our reality.
In a way, yes. And it's not just about perception. Affirmations can also impact our behavior.
Okay, how so?
Think of it this way. If you constantly tell yourself you're confident, you're more likely to act in confident ways even if you initially feel unsure.
So even if I don't feel confident at first by acting as if I am, I can eventually become more confident.
Exactly. It's about bridging the gap between our internal beliefs and our external actions.
Okay.
By aligning our actions with our desired qualities, we reinforce those beliefs, creating like a positive feedback loop.
This is fascinating. It's like we have more control over our thoughts, feelings, and experiences than we might realize.
Absolutely.
Hmm.
Now, let's dive into some psychology and explore this concept of self-suggestion.
Self-suggestion.
Essentially, it's the process of influencing your own thoughts, feelings, and behaviors through repeated suggestions. And affirmations are a perfect example of this.
So by repeatedly affirming I am successful, we're essentially suggesting to ourselves that we are successful. And over time, our subconscious mind starts to accept that suggestion as truth.
Precisely. It's like planting a seed in your mind and then nurturing it with consistent repetition.
Okay.
The more you water that seed with positive affirmations, the more likely it is to take root and grow into a strong, unwavering belief.
Okay, that makes sense. But what about those pesky negative thoughts that creep in and try to sabotage our efforts? You know, those voices that whisper, you're not good enough or you'll never succeed.
Ah, yes, those negative thoughts. Think of them as weeds in the garden of your mind. They're always trying to sprout up and choke out the beautiful flowers of your positive affirmations.
Right.
But don't worry, we have tools to combat those weeds.
How do we make sure our positive affirmations take root and flourish?
One powerful technique is to use counter statements.
Counter statements, what are those?
Essentially, they're positive affirmations that directly contradict the negative thoughts.
Yeah.
So if you catch yourself thinking, I'm not good enough, you immediately counter it with, I am worthy and capable.
So it's like a mental tug of war where we're using positive affirmations to pull our thoughts in the right direction.
Exactly. And the more you practice this, the better you become at recognizing those negative thought patterns and replacing them with more empowering beliefs. It's about training your mind to focus on the positive rather than the negative.
This is giving me a lot to think about. It's like we're uncovering these hidden mechanisms of the mind and learning how to use them to our advantage.
That's exactly what we're doing. And there's one more psychological concept I want to share with you that can shed light on why affirmations work the placebo effect.
The placebo effect. Isn't that when people experience a positive outcome simply because they believe they're receiving a treatment, even if it's just like a sugar pill?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And what's fascinating about the placebo effect is that it demonstrates the power of belief to influence our physical and mental states.
So are you saying that affirmations can work in a similar way by tapping into the power of belief to create positive changes?
Precisely. When we repeat affirmations with conviction and truly believe in their power, we're essentially creating a mental placebo effect. We're setting the stage for positive outcomes simply by believing they're possible.
Wow, that's pretty amazing. It's like we're tapping into our own inner pharmacy, using the power of belief to heal ourselves from the inside out.
In a way, yes. And it's not just about physical healing. The placebo effect has also been shown to influence mood, behavior, and even cognitive function.
So if I believe I am happy, it's more likely that I'll actually experience feelings of happiness, even if nothing in my external circumstances has changed.
Exactly. Your belief creates the expectation, and your brain starts to look for evidence to support that expectation. It's like putting on a pair of rose-colored glasses.
Yeah.
You start to see the world in a more positive light. This doesn't mean you deny challenges or negative emotions. It's more about creating a mental and emotional environment where positivity can thrive.
Okay, so we've talked about neuroplasticity, belief, self-suggestion, counterstatements, and the placebo effect. Any other psychological gems to add to our affirmation toolbox before we move on?
One more that's worth mentioning is the concept of cognitive dissonance.
Cognitive dissonance. Now, that one sounds really technical.
It's actually quite simple. Cognitive dissonance is the mental discomfort we experience when we hold two conflicting beliefs or when our actions contradict our beliefs.
So if I believe I am healthy, but then I continue to smoke, eat junk food, and avoid exercise, I'm going to experience cognitive dissonance because my actions are out of alignment with my belief.
Exactly. And that dissonance creates an internal pressure to resolve the conflict. We either have to change our beliefs or change our actions.
Oh.
In the case of affirmations, we're aiming to use this to our advantage.
So if I'm affirming I am organized, but my desk is a disaster, that dissonance might motivate me to finally tidy up.
Precisely. It's not about beating ourselves up for not being perfect. It's about using that discomfort as a catalyst for positive change.
Okay, I'm starting to see how all these pieces fit together. We've covered a lot of ground in this part, from the science of neuroplasticity to the psychology of self-suggestion and the placebo effect. It's clear that there's a lot more to affirmations than meets the eye.
Absolutely.
But how do we actually put all of this into practice? How do we create an affirmation practice that's both effective and sustainable? I'm ready to get tactical.
Great. In the final part of our deep dive, we'll explore specific techniques and strategies for crafting and using affirmations in a way that aligns with everything we've discussed so far.
Okay, so it's go time. We've explored the why behind affirmations, and now I'm ready for the how. How do we actually put this into practice and create an affirmation routine that actually works?
Well, it all starts with choosing the right affirmations for you. Remember, this isn't a one-size-fits-all situation. It's about finding affirmations that resonate with your specific goals and values.
So how do we go about creating these personalized affirmations? I'm guessing it's more than just picking a few random positive statements.
Absolutely. Here's a really simple framework you can use. First, get really clear on your goals. What areas of your life are you most focused on improving?
Okay, so let's say my goal is to be more assertive in my communication.
Great example. Now, think about the qualities you would need to embody to achieve that goal. What does an assertive communicator look and sound like? How do they carry themselves?
Well, I imagine an assertive communicator speaks clearly and confidently. They're not afraid to express their needs and opinions. They're also good listeners and respect other people's perspectives.
Excellent. Now translate those qualities into I am statements.
So I might say, I am a confident and clear communicator. Or, I am assertive in expressing my needs while respecting others.
Exactly. And notice how you're phrasing those affirmations in the present tense, as if those qualities are already a part of you. This helps your subconscious mind accept them as true.
Okay, so present tense is key. Any other tips for crafting effective affirmations?
Yes. Make them specific and action-oriented.
Okay.
Instead of just saying, I am successful, try, I am confidently leading my team to achieve our goals, or I am attracting lucrative opportunities that align with my passion.
I see. So adding those details makes the affirmation more tangible and believable. And it also helps us to visualize those specific actions that we need to take to kind of bring those affirmations to life.
Precisely. Now, once you've crafted your affirmations, it's time to bring them to life.
Okay, how do we do that? Does it really just boil down to repeating them over and over again?
Repetition is definitely important, but there's a lot more to it than just mindless chanting. Here's where we combine everything that we've learned so far. Remember the power of visualization and embodiment.
Yes. It's about not just thinking the affirmation, but also feeling it and acting in alignment with it.
Yeah, exactly. As you repeat your affirmations, engage all of your senses. Create this vivid mental picture of yourself living that affirmation. Feel those emotions that are associated with that desired state.
So if I'm affirming I am radiating health and vitality, I might visualize myself feeling energized and strong. Maybe even picture myself, hiking in nature or enjoying a delicious, healthy meal.
That's perfect. The key is to create a multisensory experience that really imprints the feeling of that affirmation into your subconscious mind.
Okay, I'm starting to get a sense of how this all comes together, but how do we make this a regular practice? Any tips for incorporating affirmations into, a busy schedule?
Well, the good news is there are so many ways to integrate affirmations into your daily life. It's about finding what works best for you and your lifestyle.
Give me some examples.
One classic approach is to set aside a specific time each day, maybe first thing in the morning or right before bed, to sit down and actually write your affirmations in a journal.
Okay, so good old-fashioned pen and paper.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's a simple yet powerful practice. You can also record yourself speaking your affirmations and then listen to the recording throughout the day. This is great for auditory learners or if you have like a long commute.
Oh, I like that idea. Turning my commute into a mini affirmation session.
And you can also create affirmation cards and place them in strategic locations where you'll see them regularly, on your bathroom mirror, your desk, your refrigerator, even your car dashboard.
So it's like surrounding ourselves with positive reminders throughout the day.
Exactly. And don't forget to tap into the power of technology. There are tons of apps and online resources that can help you create personalized affirmation routines.
That's awesome. There are so many possibilities.
Remember, the most important thing is to find a method that feels enjoyable and sustainable for you. Consistency is key. The more you engage in this practice, the more you'll reap the benefits.
Okay, so we're creating affirmations, we're visualizing, we're making it a daily practice. But what about those times when those negative thoughts just won't quit?
Remember, those negative thoughts are like uninvited guests at a party.
Right.
They're going to show up from time to time, but you don't have to let them take over.
So how do we deal with them when they crash the party?
The key is to not engage with them. Don't try to argue with them or push them away. Simply acknowledge them and then gently redirect your attention back to your affirmations.
So it's like, oh, hey, negative thought, nice to see you again, but I'm busy focusing on my awesomeness right now.
Exactly. Remember this STP method we discussed earlier. As soon as you notice a negative thought, mentally shout S-O-P. Take a deep breath and replace that thought with a positive affirmation.
Right. It's about interrupting that negative thought pattern and choosing to focus on a more empowering belief.
And if you find yourself struggling with persistent negative thoughts, don't hesitate to reach out for support. A therapist or counselor can help you develop coping strategies and explore any underlying issues that might be contributing to those negative thought patterns.
That's a great reminder. Sometimes we need a little extra help to navigate, those mental and emotional challenges. So as we wrap up our deep dive into the world of I am affirmations, what's the key takeaway you want listeners to remember?
Well, the power to create the life you desire lies within you. Affirmations are a tool that can help you tap into that power and align your thoughts, beliefs, and actions with your highest potential.
Beautifully said. It's been such a fascinating journey exploring the science, the psychology, and the practical application of affirmations. I'm feeling inspired and empowered to take my affirmation practice to the next level.
That's fantastic to hear. And remember, consistency is key. The more you engage with this practice, the more you'll reap the benefits.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of I am affirmations. We hope you enjoyed the journey and that you feel equipped to start creating a more positive and fulfilling reality for yourself.
Until next time, remember you are capable of amazing things.